Hello my loves, my name is Hannah and welcome to the end of the year freakout tag. Now before you get mardy at me being like, it's September. This tag was invented by Ariel Bissett of the Books Unbound podcast, and Ariel says this tag is supposed to be as you come into the last quarter of the year so that you've got time to freak out, right? There's no point us freaking out in December about the things that we haven't done and the things that we haven't read. We want to freak out now. Well, we can do something about the freaking out. So it is just 6 questions, and I gotta tell you, I've put no thought into the answers yet, so let's just see what comes out of my head, shall we? So question 1 is, are there any books that you have started this year that you need to finish? Anna? No, there are not. I do normally, I'm a bit of a mood reader. I do read multiple books at a time, but I'm normally pretty good about deciding whether or not something is gonna be finished or be not finished. And so I haven't got anything that I'm currently in the middle of that's been languishing. So feeling pretty good about that. Then the second one is, do you have an autumnal book that you're planning on reading to transition into the end of the year? And I mean, there are books that I have had sitting on my shelf thinking, oh, I'll get to that in autumn. But I haven't sort of decided like if one of them is gonna be like the gateway book. Do you know what I mean? I did a reading vlog around this time last year where I just happened to read loads of really brilliant autumnal books. If you are looking for autumnal recommendations, I'll try and find that video and link it down below. I do have a couple of cloth-bound classics downstairs that are from the like autumn, you know, they did the autumnal mini cloth-bound classics series, the Penguin ones. I think I have The Ballad of the Lonely Cafe by Carson McCullers, who is an author that I was reminded this year that I really love. And also Passing by Nella Larson, another classic that I've been meaning to get to. So possibly one of those. But weirdly, the book that jumped into my head when I thought about this question is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Now, I actually don't know, I've got a copy of this downstairs that my friend Sarah has lent me. I don't know anything about this except that it's a big fantasy, lots of people love it, there's dragons and it's queer. And I don't know if it's just because the cover is orange that my brain thinks that's therefore an autumnal book. I'm planning on picking it up quite soon, so maybe this is my autumnal gateway book. But I am going to Japan soon, which makes me think maybe I shouldn't pick that book up in case I then have to bring a big, heavy book to Japan. If you've read it, could you tell me on a scale of like 1 to Gilmore Girls, how autumnal are we talking? At all? Quite? Not very? And that might determine whether or not that is my autumnal book or not, because I definitely won't be able to start it and finish it before I go to Japan. So maybe that, depending on what you guys say. So the next question is there a new release that you are still waiting for? Well, I am waiting for Playground by Richard Powers, which was longlisted for the Booker Prize, and is still not out. The shortlist has come out and Playground didn't make the shortlist, but like it still hasn't been published in the UK. It's so frustrating. And I haven't quite finished reading the whole Booker long list, and there's like one that I don't think I'm gonna bother with at all, but yeah, I really want to read that one. I haven't read any Richard Powers before, but I kind of want to read that one, and then I'll see if I want to go into his back catalogue. And then the other one that I'm so excited about, actually there's two. So they're sticking with the fiction. Ali Smith has a new book coming out called Glyph, which I know absolutely nothing about, except that there is another book with the same title but spelt differently that is coming out next year, and they're like companion, like sibling books, I think. I don't It's Ali though. I will take huge enjoyment from whatever she puts out into the world, and I'm very excited that there's more Ali Smith coming into the world. So that, and then Lena Norms's non-fiction book, Half-Assed Human, is coming out in December, I think. So those three, Playground, Glyph, Half-Assed Human. So the next question is, what are 3 books that you want to read before the end of the year? Now, I mean, there's so many more than 3. Trying to think like what is important to me to read. I guess I would like to reread Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, because I really want to get on and read the other 2 in the trilogy, but I just feel like I can't remember quite enough of Wolf Hall. I think I read that about 2.5 years ago, and I feel like I can't remember enough of it to go confidently into the second book. So I would like to reread that, and something about, I think I've said it before on this channel, something about historical fiction feels very like the colder months to me. Like I tend to be more drawn to kind of and long books as well. For me, like a long book equals like the nights drawing in, getting all cozy on the sofa with a big chunky book. It doesn't scream like carry this massive book to the beach, you know? So I want to reread Wolf Hall. And then, I don't know, I really don't. No, I would like to read another of the Wheel of Time books. I would like to get another one of those under my belt while I reasonably remember what. Did I read the 7th or the 8th book this year? But I'm getting there with that series, and I kind of want to keep chipping away at like one of those a quarter maybe would be good. So like if I can get another one of those under my belt, I would like to do that. And then, I mean, I think I'm gonna leave it at that, because I've got like a stack of books that like I want to get to, but I'm trying to think of like the ones I'm most excited about. I don't know. Oh no. So yeah, so maybe I don't have a third book. There is no third book. You tell me what the third book is that I should want to read before the end of the year. Then question 5 is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favourite of the year? Yeah, like definitely. Always. I kind of think like, I don't often pick up a book without at least a glimmer of hope that it might be a book that I would really love, you know what I mean? So I think there's loads of books that I haven't read yet that I'm excited to read. I'm literally like a page or 2 into Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner, and that seems like a very cool book that potentially could be quite high up. I mean, she's talking shit, isn't she? I have literally read so little of this book. But yeah, like it could be that. There's still a few books on the Booker Prize long list that I haven't got to. They could definitely, we've got the new Ali Smith. If I get to that before the end of the year, that could be. I may get around to reading the second Hilary Mantel as well as rereading Wolf Hall. And I remember loving Wolf Hall, so that like potentially could be like, yeah, like loads of books. Almost any of the books I still have to read this year, probably. And then the final question for the shortest video that I have ever put on my channel, probably. Have you already started making plans for your reading next year? Kind of. I've been making like unplans. Like I've been striking things off, if certain things that I did this year with my reading that I think I'm not going to do that next year. So I have been unmaking plans, predominantly. But there are a few things that I've kind of been thinking that I might like to do. I really liked the impatient reading kind of brand that I had for my reading this year, and I kind of would like to find that. For me, felt like it was really scratching an itch in my reading at that time, when I was like, it's around like this time last year, back end of last year, I was kind of noticing, particularly because I was like newer to YouTube, that I was letting what I was reading be far too driven by like the content that I wanted to create, or that I thought people would want me to create, which is, as we know, not often the same thing. So I think I was reading a fair amount of books to satisfy a kind of like video need. And so the impatient reading and like getting to the books just cause, like for no other reason, those books were only ever in a vlog just because they happened to be the books that I wanted to read at that moment. That I found to be a really useful goal so far this year, with still like a quarter of the year to go. But that so far has been a really useful goal. So I'm already mulling through whether or not, like what could be next year's thing, because I feel a bit like I have learnt my lesson with the impatient stuff. I don't know if I will necessarily carry on doing the impatient reading vlogs in the way that I've done them this year, because I may have like a different goal next year. So yeah, I definitely think I've noticed my non-fiction reading has been way down this year. I haven't been reading as much non-fiction as I have in previous years. I think in some ways the diversity of what I've been reading hasn't potentially been what I would like, and I think part of that is maybe where I've been so focused on reading what is on my shelves. What was on my shelves wasn't necessarily the most diverse to begin with. So I think maybe something around like being a little bit more purposeful, because that was supposed to be one of my other words this year, right? Was I supposed to be intentional? I feel like I just let impatient be the year. And maybe lost a little bit of the intention in just going wherever I wanted. And that's been really nice, of just kind of like looking at my shelves and going, for no other reason, this is the book that I fancy reading right now. That's been really good for me, but it has meant that thinking a little more carefully about what I might not be reading has kind of taken a bit of a backseat. And that's okay. Like, as long as I'm aware of it, it's okay. So maybe something like that. But I'm mulling it over. If there is anything that you would like to see me do next year, now is probably the time to tell me. Because I can come up with some plans once things get a little bit quieter at work. So I'll pop the questions in the description box down below, and I would love to hear what your answers are to these 6 questions. I also need a favour. I am going, as I mentioned, I'm going to Japan for a couple of weeks next month, which means that I want to, if I can, and I'm not going to put loads of pressure on myself to do this, but if I can, I will like be organised and have some content that is ready to go live while I'm away, because obviously I won't be like, I'm not bringing a laptop and like editing videos while I'm in Japan. That is a waste of time when I'm in Japan. I will be filming some bits and pieces, and hopefully there'll be some Japan content coming on my channel like once I'm home. But I am hoping to get a little bit ahead of stuff, which means I need some ideas from you about some recommendations videos that you may like me to do. The video that has performed the best on my channel ever is a video where I was recommending non-fiction books for reluctant non-fiction readers. And that like has performed better than like anything else I've put on my channel. And I don't do a lot of recommendation videos, and it made me think, maybe I should do some recommendations. So let me know if there is anything in particular that you would want a video on, like any genres. I mean, please keep them to genres that you know I read. I'm probably not the gal to be giving you science fiction you know, books. I enjoy the science fiction that I do read, but I'm not very knowledgeable about it. But perhaps maybe like I could give you like some, for example, Booker backlist books, because I've read not everything, but like a decent chunk of some of the backlist titles. We could do favourite classics, we could do works in translation, we could do queer books, we could do, I don't know, like we could do sci-fi adjacent books. So like your literary sci-fi, your dystopia, let me know. I'll probably, because then I can maybe film a couple of recommendations videos for you for while I am away. Because I also don't know how much reading I'm going to be doing between now and going away because work is busy. So yeah, that is the end of the year freak out book tag, and I never know what order any of those words go in. But that was that, and I would, as I say, love to hear your answers to that, and let me know what recommendations videos you might like to see on my channel. And if you've been to Japan, let me know where we should go. We're going to Tokyo, Kyoto and Osaka, so if you've been to those 3 places, let me know. And sorry that I'm standing. I normally sit down when I do these, so I've been a proper fidget during this video. Sorry if I've made you nauseous. Bye!